A former WWE superstar has alleged that there are incidents and allegations worse against Vince McMahon than the recent lawsuit against himself, John Laurinaitis, and WWE. Kevin Nash has revealed that he is banned from attending Sting's retirement match in AEW due to being under a contract with WWE for a Legends deal. Josh Alexander has had his contract extended by TNA Wrestling. However, was it against his request to not have the option picked up by the company? A still has confirmed that he is working backstage as a producer for TNA Wrestling. Shotsy is set to undergo surgery after sustaining an injury last week at NXT, and Rowan says he wants to face off against Gunther. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about the latest allegations made against former TKO and WWE Executive Chairman Vince McMahon. Now, a former WWE superstar has alleged that he knows of an incident worse than what was described in the recent major Vince McMahon lawsuit. Now, on January 25, a lawsuit was filed hitting Vince McMahon with allegations of sexual trafficking, abuse, and more. Also named as defendants in the suit were John Laurinaitis and WWE. In an interview with Ashley Banfield of News Nation, former WWE superstar Paul Roma commented on stories of alleged sexual abuse in WWE. During the interview, Banfield referenced an interview with another former WWE superstar, Mario Mancini, who had alleged that he knew of an incident that was, quote, worse than what was described in the aforementioned lawsuit. Roma said that he knew of the same incident and agreed with the worse than lawsuit label. And here's how the interview went. Banfield said, quote, 1984 to 1991, you're with WWE. Did you ever hear about some kind of awful behavior, any of these allegations? Does any of this sort of sound like the Vince McMahon that you knew? Roma said, quote, yes, it was pretty regular. You heard it on a regular basis for the most part. Then you wouldn't hear it for a while. Then it would come full circle. But it wasn't so much Vince as it was the people that he had surrounding him. You're talking about an industry where you have young, good-looking, well-built men in the ring half naked, three-quarters naked actually. So yeah, it left the door open and he had a lot of people around him, vice presidents and bookers that were very much into that, and they put you in a really bad situation. Especially once you started making some money, you kind of get comfortable with that, and then you find out that your job's on the line, either do it or get fired, and I witnessed quite a few that walked away. The money wasn't worth it for them to go that route, so to speak. Banfield then said, quote, what happened to those people that you're saying? You mentioned that you heard quite a few that walked away. What happened to them that made them want to walk away? Roma said, quote, they were asked to do things, sexual things, with other men that they did not want to do. My former partner being one of them. I was actually in a cab ride in Washington. We were coming back and the gentleman next to me kept saying, it's not worth it, it's not worth it, it's not worth the Benjamins. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, it's not worth it. And I said, what are you talking about, what's not worth it? And he says, it's just not worth it. And we got back to the hotel. The next day, we were filming for a second TV taping, and he was gone. He jumped on a flight and went back home and never showed up again to wrestle. And he had an unfortunate accident, hit his head, and passed away while he was asleep. Had a bleed on the brain. Banfield said, quote, did he ever tell you what it was that he said wasn't worth it? Roma said, quote, he didn't tell me who, he just told me what, to do what they wanted him to do. Banfield says, and what was it? Roma said, quote, sexual favors. And my former partner, one of my former partners, when I was part of the Young Stallions, he was propositioned, and he said he went to one of the agents and told him what had happened. And I said, why would you do that? You just ratted on both of us. So he kind of knew that he threw both of us under the bus just starting out. Banfield then said, quote, so to be clear, the person in the cab who said it's just not worth the Benjamins, that person you told that you said was propositioned, he wouldn't tell you who it was if I'm clear, but he told you what happened. Did he tell you that these were executives with WWE that had propositioned him? Rowan said, quote, well, let's lead it this way. That's all it could be. If someone's going to give you money, then it has to be that. There is nothing else. It's not going to be one of the other boys that you're wrestling with. They're not going to offer you money. Even my former partner, same thing. They offered him money, drugs. Just lay on your back. You don't have to do a thing. And he came running right to me when I came into TV, and I said, dude, what are you going to do? And he said, oh, I've already spoke to Arnold. And I said, well, why would you do that? You just killed our team. What do you think he's going to do? He's just going to go to the people that propositioned to you. And what do you think is going to happen to them? Nothing. Banfield then said, so these are all allegations. We have to be very clear about this, but your friend and former business partner, Mario Mancini, spoke with us the other day and said he knows of at least one incident from years ago that's even worse than some of the worst allegations in Janelle Grant's lawsuit. Do you know what that incident is, and can you tell me tonight? Roma said, quote, I really shouldn't right now, but yes, I do know what it is, and it's worse. Banfield said, quote, can you characterize it in any way? Roma said, quote, just that Mario and I are really surprised. We spoke about it and we're surprised that no one has come forward. But on the flip side, I think they're of an age now that they may be married, have kids, and they don't want to open Pandora's box. And I can't blame them. And I said that to Mario. Can you blame them? Would you really want to open this up, this can of worms? No, you wouldn't want to open it up. Banfield then said, Paul Roma, I'm very appreciative of you being on the program, and I think there's obviously some things you need to work on before you speak up more freely about this, but I'd like to invite you back on the program, maybe carry on this conversation a little further. Would that be all right? Roma said that is fine. So what do you make of the latest allegations made against Vince McMahon and WWE? Of course, these are quite vague once again. So, of course, if we get any more details on it in the future, we'll let you know. But are you surprised that this continues to come out? Are you surprised that stories continue to be put out there? Are you expecting more allegations and worse stories to rear their head now that this can of worms has been opened? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. Now, we know that Sting is going to be having his final pro wrestling match ever in less than a month's time. In fact, Sting's retirement match is going to be taking place at AEW Revolution in a few weeks on March 3rd, 2024, and a WWE Hall of Famer won't be in attendance. At the upcoming pay-per-view, Sting will team with Darby Allin to take on the Young Bucks and defend their AEW World Tag Team Championships. In Sting's corner will be fellow WWE Hall of Famer Ric Flair. However, someone who will not be in attendance is Kevin Nash. Nash revealed that he had been asked to take part in the retirement by Sting himself on the Click This podcast, saying, quote, he asked me to be a part of it. I just said that, with my positioning with WWE, I couldn't even be. If I went in the crowd, it would be, commenting that both he and Sting were disappointed that he had to turn down the request. Nash went on to say, I think he wanted me to be there because I was just one of the guys who's been there with him the whole run. Yeah, I think he was disappointed. I mean, I was disappointed. Nash would also reveal the reaction he received when he contacted WWE about the request, stating, quote, I asked, when you ask and there's a 3-second pause, it's like when you be on the road and you're like, hey babe, we're at Fort Wayne, I'm going to go to Stewie's strip joint. You got a problem with that? Nothing. So Nash suggesting that WWE said that he couldn't go and attend Sting's retirement match at AEW Revolution. Now, we have an update on former Impact World Champion Josh Alexander. Now, a major update has emerged on Josh Alexander's in-ring future following recent speculation about his contract status. Now, with several TNA stars tweeting out hourglass emojis, there have been a lot of rumors swirling surrounding the next moves of a number of top names in the company. One of those stars is Josh Alexander, leading fans sharing pictures for Alexander to join WWE or AEW or New Japan Pro Wrestling. But per Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated and later confirmed by TNA Wrestling themselves, Alexander will remain with TNA Wrestling, the promotion exercising their option to extend the contract of Josh Alexander. Now, while more contract details weren't disclosed, the report confirmed that Alexander is now set to become a free agent in 2025. Commenting on his time with TNA Wrestling, Alexander said, quote, TNA, those are the letters that inspired me to get in the ring and chase this wild dream. TNA picking up the option means I have a lot of work to do and I'm excited to put in the work and make it happen. Every time I go to the ring, whether it's in front of 500, 5,000 or 50,000, I'm going to give my absolute best. I'm working to be the best match every time I step in the ring. I've worked so hard to be in this position. At the end of this contract, I'll have been with TNA for 6 years. We'll see how this year goes. With new management coming in, things are going to be changing. I just hope it continues to be an amazing place. Right now, I couldn't imagine working anywhere else. Now, what's quite interesting regarding all of this is maybe actually it went against Alexander's wishes, though. So as I mentioned, TNA has exercised their 1-year option on Josh Alexander's contract, and Fightful Select now has some more information. Now, Fightful say they have learned that Alexander's TNA deal would have been up on February 14, which if the option year was not exercised, he would have been a free agent. As the deal was 2 years with the company option year, TNA picked that up. Now, Alexander's current deal expires on February 14, 2025, at what point he'll be a free agent unless another extension is reached. Now, there were many speculating that Alexander's deal was extended as a result of injury time, but Fightful have been told that actually isn't the case. While Alexander was sidelined, he was working working backstage and as a producer, so the clock was still ticking on his contract. Now, what's really interesting about this is actually when this was first published by Fightful, they had heard some rumors internally that Josh Alexander had actually asked for his release prior. However, Fightful are told that wasn't quite the case, but there is some element of truth involved in all of that. Instead, Alexander had requested that TNA not pick up his option on his contract. He was open to negotiating a new deal, but he wanted to survey the landscape if possible. However, TNA exercised the option, and there are no concerns from the company about Alexander meeting his contractual obligations and working hard whilst he's there. Fightful have also been told internally a re-signs graphic was made for Alexander's announcement before being changed to extended. You can see it on the screen right there. In actuality, it's TNA exercising their third-year options. For those in the comments and those wondering about that, it was TNA's call within the contract for that to happen. So Alexander had asked TNA not to exercise that option because he wanted to renegotiate or explore the landscape. TNA, rightfully so, they're allowed to, it's in the contract, decided to go against that and exercise the option to extend his contract for an extra year. We get any more details on that, of course, we'll let you know. Now, Ace Steel, of course, he's been in the headlines quite a lot over the last year or so, and an update has emerged on his current role. Now, it was reported in October of last year that Steel was set to begin a producer tryout at that month's TNA Bound for Glory pay-per-view. Speaking with John Paz on the two-man power trip, Steel confirmed that he's currently working for TNA Wrestling as a backstage producer. He said, quote, "Working with TNA as a producer at the moment, loving that, loving the atmosphere there, just a great backstage feel." Now, following his own wrestling career, Steel worked with WWE as a coach from November 2019 to January 2022. He then joined AEW, with Tony Khan announcing that following the March 2022 Revolution pay-per-view that Steel was with AEW in a backstage capacity. He was then released by AEW in October of 2022 before returning in a remote role in May of 2023 ahead of his most recent release in September of 2023. Of course, that was all tied up with the CM Punk saga that was ongoing in AEW at that time as well. And we have an update on Shotsy. Now, Shotsy challenged for Lyra Valkyrie's NXT Women's Championship during last week's February 13 taping for this Tuesday, today's episode of NXT that's going to be airing on USA Network. Now, the match was stopped due to Shotsy suffering a legitimate knee injury. Per PW Insider, the word backstage at Monday's February 19 Raw taping was that Shotsy was in Birmingham, Alabama. As this is the location for the medical facility, which many WWE superstars have used, it was said to be likely that Shotsy was in Alabama ahead of a surgery. So it's looking like she's going to be having surgery. We just don't know the nature of the injury, but it was reported possibly to be a serious knee injury. Finally, Eric Rowan wants a match against the Intercontinental Champion Gunther. It's been nearly 4 years since Eric Rowan performed inside of a WWE ring. Despite this, the former Wyatt family member wants to get his hands on a current WWE champion. In a post on social media, Rowan wrote, quote, you can see it on the screen right there, saying, "I'll say it again, I want to fight Gunther." Now, he actually published those words during Gunther's successful defense of the Intercontinental Championship against Jey Uso on Raw last night. Rowan's post received overwhelming support, with one fan commenting, quote, "Now this is something I want to see." Meanwhile, another wrote, quote, "I'd love to see that, and don't forget to bring your tarantula." Now, Rowan's final character in WWE saw him bring a caged creature out to the ring, later revealed to be a giant mechanical spider. The gimmick ended abruptly, and probably rightfully so, when Drew McIntyre crushed the cage with a steel steps on Raw. Rowan was released with WWE a few weeks later. He made a one-night return to the promotion on SmackDown last August, paying tribute to his close friend Bray Wyatt, who had unexpectedly passed away. Now, since exiting WWE, Rowan has been performing on the Indies. He's also wrestled in AEW a couple of times as well, so he has certainly been active. Would you like to see Eric Rowan versus Gunther in the future? Let me know your thoughts about that. But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.